stop scrolling, because the Washington quarter in your pocket could be more than just spare change. Some old eagleback quarters became famous not because people noticed them, but because almost everyone ignored them. One tiny mint mark, one strange error, one high-grade survivor, and suddenly a so-called ordinary quarter becomes banned in rumors, valuable in the market, and famous among collectors. Stay with me, because in this video we're breaking down exactly why these Washington quarters matter before you spend one by mistake. Let's get started. A 1978 Washington quarter is the kind of coin people overlook every single day, and that's exactly why it makes such a powerful story. On the front you've got George Washington with "Liberty and in God we trust." And on the back the classic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows framed by olive branches with United States of America, E pluribus unum, and Q Warder dollar. It looks like pure ordinary change, but that ordinary feeling is what makes viewers stop when you tell them the truth. Some of the most interesting collector finds come from coins nobody ever thought to inspect. The hook here is not that every 1978 quarter is a fortune. The hook is that the right 1978 quarter, especially the right condition or the right mint-made error, can turn a common coin into a real collector conversation. First, let's clean up the viral myth in a way that actually boosts credibility. 1978 Washington quarters are not banned coins in the normal collector sense. They were regular U.S. quarters made for circulation, and millions were produced. What people usually mean with dramatic phrases like banned is one of three things. They heard a rumor online. They confused it with some other restricted or recalled issue, or they're using shock language to get attention. That's actually good for your script, because it gives you a strong truth reveal moment. You can tell viewers the coin itself was not banned, but myths like that spread, because people sense there's something hidden about old coins, and sometimes that hidden thing is real value, just not for the reason the caption claimed. What actually matters on a 1978 quarter is identification and condition. Most coins from that year are standard copper nickel-clad circulation pieces, not silver, and most worn examples are worth face value. But the value story changes when a coin is found in unusually clean condition, especially with strong luster, fewer contact marks, and a sharper strike than normal. Collectors understand a truth the general public misses. A coin can be common by mintage and still become desirable in top condition because so many examples were banged up in circulation. The best preserved survivors are the ones that start separating themselves from the pack. Now look at the design more deeply, because the reverse is where this quarter gets its classic power. The eagle standing with spread wings on arrows and framed by olive branches gives the coin a very traditional American look, strength balanced by peace. That older reverse style is part of why so many people feel attached to pre-statehood era quarters. They look more formal, more historic, more real to some collectors than later themed quarters. And that visual nostalgia matters in videos, because people don't just respond to value, they respond to familiarity. A 1978 quarter can trigger memories of older coin jars, grandparents' pockets, and the type of everyday money that seemed more solid and more serious. If you want maximum audience engagement, the most exciting lane is mint errors. This is where a normal 1978 quarter can become something worth checking carefully. Off-center strikes can shift the whole design and leave blank space, especially dramatic if the date stays visible. Broad strikes can change the shape and rim behavior. Clipped planchettes can create a smooth, curved missing section at the edge. Die cracks and cuds can appear as raised lines or blobs that are part of the metal, not damage after the fact. Strike-through errors can cause missing or distorted details if debris interfered during striking. These are the kinds of mistakes that make collectors pause and make viewers rush to their jars. But the smartest part of a serious script is telling people what not to trust. A lot of rare quarter claims online come from damaged coins, not mint-made errors. Scratches, flattened rims, stains, and environmental damage can create dramatic-looking quarters that are still just damaged. Machine doubling can also fool beginners because it looks like a flat shadow rather than a true double die style effect. So if a viewer finds a strange 1978 quarter, the right move is not instant excitement, it's careful comparison. That balance keeps your script attractive and dramatic while protecting it from sounding fake. The bicentennial angle fits beautifully into this story even though 1978 is not a bicentennial date. Why? Because many people who start checking a 1978 quarter will immediately start checking their 1776 to 1976 quarters too. And that's where your video expands from one coin into a treasure hunt. Most bicentennial quarters are common, but special collector versions, proofs, silver issues, and genuine errors can carry premiums. That lets you build a bigger emotional arc. The viewer starts with one ordinary Washington quarter and suddenly realizes their whole quarter collection might deserve a second look. The strongest ending is simple and believable. The 1978 Washington quarter is not banned, and most examples are not worth huge money. But the few that stand out do so because of condition, originality, or a true mint-made error. That's what makes the coin exciting. Not internet myths, but the possibility that an ordinary quarter can still hold an extraordinary detail. So don't clean it, don't rush to spend the suspicious ones, and check the date, surfaces, and rim under strong light. Because in coin collecting, the real surprise is not that rare coins exist. It's that they can hide inside the change people stopped respecting long ago. Thanks for watching, and don't scroll because next coin most powerful story for you. And don't forget that subscribe. Next up, a 1979 D Washington quarter is the perfect coin for a high-engagement treasure hunt story because it looks completely ordinary at first glance. You see Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, George Washington's portrait, and on the reverse that classic eagle with spread wings above the arrows and olive branches, surrounded by United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. It feels like just another old quarter from a pocket or coin jar. But that's exactly the point. Some of the most searched and most discussed coins are not the flashy ones. They're the coins people almost spent without thinking, until a small detail turned them into something collectors actually wanted. The first big truth that makes your script stronger is this. A normal 1979 D quarter is common. It was struck at the Denver Mint, and millions were made for everyday circulation. So the average circulated example is usually worth face value. But that honesty doesn't weaken the story, it makes it more believable. Because what collectors care about is not just the date. They care about the version of the date. A 1979 D quarter becomes valuable when it enters a different category, top condition, proof-like appearance, or a genuine mint error that separates it from the ordinary examples everyone else ignores. One of the biggest reasons this quarter can matter is condition, and condition is where casual viewers start turning into real coin hunters. Most 1979 D quarters spent years in cash registers, purses, car consoles, and bank rolls, so heavy contact marks and worn surfaces are common. A coin that still has strong original luster, cleaner fields, and sharp details can stand out fast under light. This is one of the great secrets of coin collecting. A common coin can still be desirable when it survives in uncommon shape. The market often rewards the coin that escaped the normal life of a quarter, and that's why viewers should not judge value by date alone. The reverse design gives this coin extra power in a video because the eagle reverse feels iconic and instantly old-school America. Before the state quarters era changed everything, this was the face of the U.S. quarter people knew by heart. The eagle standing above the arrows and framed by olive branches gives the coin a serious, classic look that many collectors still prefer over later thematic designs. That familiarity matters emotionally. People remember these quarters from parents, grandparents, and old jars of saved change. And when a coin triggers memory, viewers become more invested in the possibility that something familiar might also be valuable. Now we move into the part that really drives engagement. Mint errors. A 1979 D Washington quarter can become collector-worthy if it shows a clear mint-made mistake. Off-center strikes are one of the easiest to understand because the design shifts and part of the blank shows. Broad strikes can make the rim appear odd or the coin slightly spread. Clipped planchettes create a smooth, curved missing section that looks too clean to be accidental damage. Die cracks and cuds show up as raised lines or blobs that are part of the metal itself. Strike-through errors can leave parts of the design weak or missing if grease or debris got between the die and the coin. These visible, physical anomalies are what make collectors pause and what make audiences start checking every quarter they own. Another reason people search this date is the possibility of doubled features or unusual strike behavior, but this is where a smart script earns trust. Not every odd-looking coin is rare. Machine doubling can create a flat, shelf-like effect that many beginners confuse with a valuable doubled die. Post-mint damage can also fake a rare look through scratches, heat, chemical stains, flattened rims, or harsh wear. So the real message is not every weird quarter is worth money. The real message is the valuable ones show mistakes made at the mint, not abuse after the mint. That single distinction makes your video sound more serious and protects it from hype. The bicentennial connection works beautifully in this type of script, even though 1979 is not itself a bicentennial date. Why? Because viewers who start checking a 1979 D quarter usually go straight to checking their 1776 to 1976 quarters next. That widens the hunt instantly. Most bicentennial quarters are common, but special proofs, silver collector issues, and real errors can be much more interesting than face value. This helps your script become bigger than one coin. It turns a single Washington quarter into an entry point for the whole quarter series, and that kind of expanding treasure hunt energy is exactly what keeps people watching and sharing. If you want your audience to feel like real collectors, the best move is to guide them into a small inspection ritual. Hold the quarter under a bright light and tilt it slowly. Look at Washington's cheek and hair for wear. Check the fields for heavy marks or original luster. Then flip to the eagle reverse and study the lettering, the rim, and the areas around the design for raised cracks, missing elements, or odd spacing. Compare it with another normal quarter if possible, because side-by-side comparisons reveal differences much faster. That's where the coin stops being just a quarter and becomes something worth investigating. The strongest ending for a 1979 D Washington quarter is honest, but exciting. Most are worth 25 cents, but the reason people save them is because the rare exceptions are real. A sharply preserved coin, a high-grade survivor, or a genuine mint error can make this ordinary quarter worth far more than face value. So don't clean it. Don't trust wild internet captions. And don't ignore the older Eagleback quarters too quickly. In coin collecting, value often hides in the coins people stopped respecting. And that's why a 1979 D quarter still deserves a closer look. Next up. Some coins don't look powerful at all until you realize how much history and hidden collector potential they carry. A 1982 P. Washington quarter is one of those coins. It doesn't scream treasure the way a gold coin does, and it doesn't carry the instant hype of a bicentennial design. But that is exactly why it works so well in a high-engagement story. It blends in. It gets ignored. It sits in jars, drawers, old coat pockets, and car cup holders like ordinary change. And yet the moment you slow down and really read it, Liberty, Indiana, God we trust, United States of America, E pluribus unum, $quarter, with the classic eagle reverse, you realize you're holding a piece of a disappearing era of American quarters. What makes the 1982 P quarter feel powerful is not that every example is rare. It's that it belongs to the last stretch of the old Eagleback Washington quarter design before the major design shifts and commemorative era collecting exploded. It carries that classic pre-state quarter look that many collectors still prefer. Washington on the front, the eagle above the arrows and olive branches on the back, formal and unmistakably American. There's a visual authority to it, It looks like the kind of coin that defined everyday U.S. money for generations, and that familiarity gives it emotional strength in a video. People don't just see metal. They see the kind of quarter they remember from older jars, older wallets, older times. Now here's the serious collector truth that makes your script stronger and more believable. A normal 1982 P. Washington quarter is usually worth face value in worn condition. Millions were made for circulation, and most examples spent years moving through stores, pockets, and registers. But collector value does not come from the average coin. It comes from the exception. A sharply preserved 1982 P quarter with strong luster, fewer contact marks, and a cleaner than normal strike can attract far more attention than people expect. This is one of the most important lessons in modern coin collecting. Sometimes the real rarity is not the date, but the survival of that date in unusually strong condition. The P mint mark matters here more than a casual viewer might think. That letter tells you the coin was struck in Philadelphia, and in coin collecting, mint marks are part of identity, not decoration. A Philadelphia coin, a Denver coin, and a San Francisco proof can all belong to different conversations even when the designs look nearly identical. For the 1982 P quarter, the mint mark helps collectors compare strike quality, population in top grades, and the way certain errors or varieties may appear. So even before anyone talks about dramatic value, the first power hidden in the coin is this. It is specific. It has a birthplace, a date, and a role in a much larger collector map. Now bring the camera closer to the coin itself, because the real drama begins when viewers stop seeing a quarter and start seeing structure. On the obverse, Washington's profile tells the wearer story. His cheek, hair, and jawline reveal whether the coin has lived a hard life or remained unusually protected. On the reverse, the eagle gives the coin its old-school force. The wings, arrows, olive branches, and lettering create a design that feels balanced and authoritative. If the details are still sharp and the fields still carry original luster under light, the coin can feel much stronger than its age suggests. That is why collectors often talk about eye appeal with such seriousness. A coin's power is not only in what it is, but in how it still looks after surviving decades of use. Then comes the part of the story that hooks audiences hardest. Mint errors. A 1982 P quarter becomes far more interesting the moment something about it looks wrong in the right way. Off-center strikes can shift the design and reveal blank space, especially dramatic if the date remains visible. Broad strikes can alter the rim and make the coin look unnaturally spread. Clipped planchettes can leave a smooth missing section along the edge. Die cracks and cuds appear as raised lines or lumps that were created during minting, not after circulation. Strike-through errors can leave areas weak or missing where grease or debris interfered with the strike. These are the features that can turn a forgotten quarter into a collector's subject overnight. But the smartest script also protects the audience from false hope, and that's what separates a strong video from pure hype. Not every strange quarter is rare. A lot of older quarters are damaged, stained, bent, scraped, or flattened in ways that look dramatic, but add no collector value. Machine doubling can confuse beginners because it can mimic the look of a doubled design without being a true doubled die. This is the credibility line that matters most. Collectors pay for mistakes made at the mint, not damage caused later in life. That one sentence helps the audience stay excited while learning how real value works. The bicentennial angle still fits beautifully into a 1982 P quarter video, even though this date is not a bicentennial issue. The reason is psychological and powerful. Once people start checking Eagleback Washington quarters, they almost always move on to their 1776 to 1976 coins too. That broadens the treasure hunt instantly. Most bicentennial quarters are common, but proofs, silver collector versions, and real mint errors are where the stronger value stories begin. So the 1982 P quarter becomes more than a single coin topic. It becomes a gateway into an entire era of quarter collecting. And that is exactly the kind of expanding curiosity that keeps viewers engaged. Ending for a 1982 P. Washington quarter is calm, honest, and compelling. This coin is powerful not because every example is worth a fortune, but because it represents the kind of hidden collector potential that lives inside ordinary American change. Most are worth 25 cents, but the few that rise above that do so because of preservation, originality, and real mint-made differences that collectors can prove. So don't clean it, don't dismiss it too quickly, and don't assume ordinary looking means unimportant. Because in the world of coin collecting, some of the most powerful coins are the ones that stayed unnoticed the longest. Next up, a 1983 P. Washington quarter is the kind of coin that hides behind its own normal look. It doesn't flash like gold, it doesn't carry a dramatic commemorative design, and it doesn't instantly feel rare to the average person. That's exactly what makes it famous in the kind of story people love to watch. The most unforgettable coin hunts often begin with a coin nobody respected enough to check. One old quarter, one small mint mark, one sharp detail under light, and suddenly what looked like pocket change starts feeling like evidence. That's the magic of a 1983 P quarter. It lives in the space between ordinary circulation coin and serious collector curiosity. What makes this coin famous is not just the date itself, but the reputation of the early 1980s in U.S. coin collecting. By this time, many quarters had already lived rough lives in daily use, and truly clean, well-preserved examples became much harder to find than casual viewers expect. The Philadelphia Mint struck enormous numbers of quarters for circulation, but surviving examples in top condition are a very different story. That is why collectors pay attention. The 1983 P quarter is one of those coins where people learn a surprising rule of the hobby. Common mintage does not guarantee common quality. A coin can be everywhere in worn condition and still become special when it survives in exceptional shape. The P mint mark matters more than people think because it turns the coin from some old quarter into a specific issue from the Philadelphia Mint. In the collector world, that tiny letter can change everything. It helps identify where the coin was made, what kind of strike quality is expected, how it compares with Denver issues, and how the market judges it in higher grades. For a casual viewer, the mint mark is almost invisible. For a collector, it's the start of the whole story. That difference creates great tension in a video, because it makes the audience feel like they're learning to see something hidden in plain sight. Then comes the classic Washington quarter design, and this is where the coin gets emotional power. On the front, George Washington with "Liberty and in God we trust" creates that unmistakable old American coin look. On the back, the eagle with spread wings perched above the arrows and olive branches gives the coin a formal, almost proud identity that many people still associate with real quarters. This was the pre-state quarter era, and that older eagle reverse is part of why these coins feel more serious to so many viewers. It carries nostalgia. It reminds people of the quarters they saw in older jars, older couches, older couch drawers. Familiarity makes the search feel personal, and personal is what makes videos grow. The biggest collector twist with a 1983 P quarter is condition. Most examples got worn down, scraped up, and dulled by years of use. A coin that still shows strong original luster, cleaner fields, and a sharper strike can stand out quickly. This is one of the most engaging truths you can give an audience because it flips their expectations. People assume old and dirty means valuable, but in many cases, the real premium is in the quarter that looks unusually fresh, bright, and untouched for its age. That doesn't mean shiny from cleaning. It means original, natural, and preserved. The difference between those two things is where collectors live. Now, the excitement really builds when you bring in mint errors, because that is how a normal date becomes a serious find. A 1983 P quarter can become far more interesting if it shows an off-center strike, a clipped planchet, a broad strike, a strike through error, or raised die cracks and cuds. Those kinds of features make the coin physically different in a way the viewer can see. A missing section of the design, a strange blank area, a raised line where it should not be, or a deformed rim can transform the whole conversation. This is where the audience starts checking their jars, because now the story is not just old quarter may be valuable. It becomes what if mine is one of the weird ones. But the smartest part of any coin script is the reality check, because trust builds attention. Not every strange-looking quarter is rare. Heat damage, chemicals, flattening, scratches, and post-mint abuse can create wild-looking coins that are still just damaged. Machine doubling can also trick people because it creates a flat, shelf-like effect rather than the stronger, more dramatic look of a true double die. That's why the rule matters so much. Collectors pay for mint-made differences, not ordinary damage. When you say that clearly, your audience keeps the excitement but also starts thinking like a collector instead of just chasing fantasy. The reason a 1983 P. Washington quarter stays famous in collector conversations is because it teaches one of the best lessons in the entire hobby. Value often hides in the coins everyone stopped noticing. It's not the loudest coin, not the oldest coin, not the flashiest coin. It's the coin that survived better, struck sharper, or came out of the mint just a little wrong. That's why older Washington quarters still deserve attention. So don't clean it, don't rush to spend it, and don't assume a plain quarter has nothing to say. Because sometimes the most famous coins are not famous because they look extraordinary. They're famous because someone finally noticed that one detail nobody else saw. These Washington quarters may look ordinary, but the rarest value is often hiding in the smallest details, the strongest condition, or the one mint mistake everyone else missed. Before you spend another quarter, check the date, mint mark, and eagle reverse carefully, because the coin sitting quietly in your jar could be worth far more than you think. Subscribe to Legacy's Coins USA for more rare coin finds, hidden value clues, and powerful collector stories from everyday U.S. coins.